Going on, Jerome's? It's mock draft season, baby. And Chad Reuter of NFL.com, their draft analyst, released his mock draft 1.0, a 3-round version. So it's always fun when you're getting a little bit more in the weeds. And we'll look at the whole thing in a different video. Well, at least the first round. And there's some crazy stuff going on. There's a couple trades projected in there, but wanted to look specifically at the Vikings because it's what this channel's about, right? So 14, the Vikings end up trading down with Washington, who were at the number 19 overall pick. Now, the cost to come up to up 5 spots from 19 is a second-round pick, number 51 overall. So the Vikings get back in the second round. Now, the trade chart heavily favors the Vikings in this situation, but Washington is the one doing the asking, so they're going to have to give up a little bit more. And they come up for Mac Jones, the Big Four quarterbacks. Spoiler, all go in the top 10, so Mac Jones, only game in town, understandable. So the Vikings now on the clock at 19, which is unfortunate because it would have been nice to move down 5 spots, get back in the second round, and still end up with a franchise-level left tackle like Darisaw or an absolute speed demon in Jalen Waddle that will pair up nicely with Justin Jefferson for the future, but is what it is. The Vikings in this spot decide to go edge, and they take Jaelan Phillips from the U. This is what they wrote up about him. The Vikings had one of the worst pass rushes in the league in 2020. Rude. Smartly traded Yannick Ngakoue when it was clear the season was not going as planned. Rude. Phillips possesses a nice combination of pass rush ability and strength to hold the line of scrimmage. Jaelan Phillips, 6'5", 266, former 5-star recruit back in the day. Transferred in from UCLA, posted an 86.6 PFF grade, 42 pressures, and 8 sacks this season in only 6 games, filling in for Gregory Rousseau, who opted out. Phenomenal bend, but major injury concerns. And what's confusing in this spot, where I do like Phillips, I don't like him more than Kwity Paye or Azeez Ujulari, who both were still on board. I would have gone in either of those directions, and that would have been phenomenal. Getting Azeez, getting Kwity Paye after trading down and getting back in the second, but is what it is. Next up, second round, number 51 overall. Vikings decide to go safety. Andre Cisco, Thong Song, coming out of Syracuse University. And a little bit frustrating because Sam Cosmi, the tackle from Texas, still on board. Alex Leatherwood, the tackle guard from Alabama, still there. Davion Nixon, the grade 3 tech from Iowa, still on board, but the Vikings go safety at this spot. Cisco, 6'2", 205, junior, absolute ball hawk, busted on the scene as a freshman in 2018. 54 tackles, 34 stops, 7 picks, 8 passes broken up, as well as a 56.1 quarterback rating when thrown at. Recorded an 89.3 PFF coverage grade. It was the best in college football that season. He was a stud. Absolutely. But then the last 2 years, battled through injuries, only played 2 games in 2020, does need refinement, and you would have seen that if he was able to stay on the field for the last 2 years, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But the instincts for finding the ball are absolutely there. Can play down the box, can play single high, can play split safeties, can do all those things. A bit of a gamble because of the guys that we mentioned. They're still on board, especially with the depth of the safety class, where you could easily get a guy in the 3rd or 4th round that potentially could come in and push to start opposite of Harrison Smith if and when Anthony Harris leaves. But Cisco, I get it. Not in love with it, but I get it. Next up, in the 3rd round, 78 overall. So the Vikings still have needs at guard, still have needs at defensive tackle, but they go quarterback of the future, Kyle Trask, coming out of Florida. Now, my thoughts about Kyle Trask have been well documented on here. I just don't see it. I don't. But in the 3rd round, sure. If you're going to take him in the 1st or 2nd round, no, absolutely not. But Kyle Trask, 6'5", 240, 22 years young, a redshirt senior. Of course, the fun anecdote is that he was the high school backup quarterback to Derek King in the Houston area, which is kind of funny. But blew up this year, 4,283 yards passing, 43 touchdowns, 8 picks, led FBS in touchdown passes, was 2nd team All-SEC, 4th in Heisman voting, broke a bunch of SEC records in terms of consecutive 400-yard passing games, consecutive 3 or 4 touchdown games, like every single week. It was Madden type numbers. Has the NFL size. Love the leadership. Love that this kid just stays after it. Like, he didn't transfer from Florida when he wasn't getting his time. Eventually beat up Flippy Franks, who went to Arkansas this year. But the accuracy is suspect. Big numbers, but a lot of it was due to the structure of the Mullen spread option. It's not a pro-style offense at all. Like, he's never usually throwing guys open. He's not hitting those tight windows that you need at the next level. Arm strength is really damn good at times, but other times it really is a mess due to bad lower body mechanics. That's going to have to be broken down and rebuilt from scratch. And Trask, he's a good kid, but a project at the highest level. He is. I don't know why the Vikings would go quarterback prospect here where he's going to have to sit for, well, ideally he's going to sit for 2-3 years when there are other needs like offensive line, like defensive tackle. Like I would rather go Kellen Mond or Jamie Newman rounds 4 or 5 than Trask round 3 every single day, every single time. And then finally at 90. So yeah, Chase is just like, hey, I know you didn't like the first 3 picks, but here's one that you like. Trey Smith at 90. Woo! Trey Smith, the pride of Tennessee, Rocky Top, 21 years young, 6'6", 325, former 5-star recruit from Jackson, Tennessee, was a 4-year starter for the Vols. Last 2 years at left guard, and he's been a rogue grader in the run game and in pass protection. He's only allowed 17 pressures and 1 sack in the last 2 seasons, which is amazing. 2-time first team All SEC, and also the fact that he's succeeding inside SEC every single week. You're playing NFL caliber talent on the inside. It's amazing. Now, does have a lung clot issue from 2018, forced him to miss some time, but he seemed to have gotten that under control. 2019, 2020 didn't have any issue. Now, he's got the size, he's got the strength and anchor to clang and bang right away in the National Football League. Plus, all this talk about scheme fit. He certainly has the functional mobility to succeed, get second level in outside zone and on screens. Is he Ezra Cleveland? No, but then again, who is? Lastly, number 97 overall, projected 3rd round comp pick. Now, this is the Trey Waynes pick. It's probably going to end up being a 4th rounder since Waynes was out with the pec injury, but it is what it is. If it's 3rd, great. The Vikings go position of need. Alim McNeill, the real deal McNeill, coming out of NC State, 6'2", 315-pound junior, former 4-star recruit from the Raleigh, North Carolina area, was teammates with Garrett Bradbury back in the day. Had a nice sophomore season, 2019, 7.5 tackles for loss, 18 pressures, 5.5 sacks. Took up mild step back this year in the pass rush department. Only put up 12 pressures, 1 sack in 11 games, but was absolutely rock solid against the run. Posted a 92.1 PFF run defense grade, including 17 tackles, including 14 stops. Kid was an absolute beast, but that quick first step penetration is legit and is a plus against the run, but does need some more consistency. The flashes are certainly there, and I think that he could potentially be available towards the end of day 2, top end of day 3. The Vikings may have to maneuver a bit to get him, but I think at this stage of the draft, perfectly suited to fill in that 3-tech spot. Plus, is a dynamic athlete. Go look up high school video of him as a running back. Dude is absolutely a lot of fun. So overall, I mean, the Vikings do get some nice draft comp, moving from 14 to 19, getting back in the 2nd round. Jaelan Phillips, I can see why people are in. The traits, the injuries do scare me, especially in that 1st round. You do want a day 1, week 1 consistent contributor, but if his body's not going to hold up, that remains to be seen. Same thing with Cisco in round 2, where the Vikings are taking a lot of gambles on medical guys, where Andre Cisco, lower body injury this time around, seasons were ended with injury the last 2 years. Never really got to develop on that flash that he showed as a freshman 3 years ago. But, yeah. And then 78, Kyle Trask. I get going for a quarterback project, and Kyle Trask is a phenomenal kid, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I guess we'll see. And then Trey Smith. I love me some Trey Smith. I think that there is some significant value in Trey Smith in terms of medicals, because remember, we just ding Phillips and Cisco for medical issues, but we're all about Trey Smith because of medicals. Because, yeah, he is a 3rd round pick. He's number 90. It's a big difference between being number 90 at the back end of the 3rd round as opposed to being number 19, your 1st round pick, or 51, your 2nd pick, 2nd round off the board. So, yeah. And then lastly, Alim McNeill is probably my favorite pick in terms of overall value. I think that he will come in right away at that 3-tech spot and contribute both against the run, as well as I think that his high-end penetration, I think it could certainly be up there with what we saw from Barrymore towards the end of the season, as well as what we saw from Davion Nixon at Iowa. But overall, if this is how it went down, meh. But your thoughts on our thoughts, 3-round mock draft, NFL.com. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work, pull some in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.